This video will cover the basics on working with Starkiller. It'll go through the full process of establishing an agent along with showcasing a few modules, and which will cover persistence and pivoting. We'll also go through the process of setting up our Redirector Listener. So starting off, we have an already established interpreter session on a Windows target. And here we'll run through the process of starting a listener, creating a stager, then establishing an agent. So first we'll create a basic HTTP listener. Set it to bind to port 4448. We'll name it HTTP TAC main. Showcasing a few other options. Now that the listener is created, we'll create a Windows stager. This stager will drop and execute on the target as a batch script. And then we're setting it to call back to our newly created listener, HTTP TAC main. And here again, just showcasing additional options. Now we'll download the stager to our Apache web root. Then we'll just upload it with our interpreter shell. And we'll drop into a shell and execute it. And it looks like the agent callback is successful. Now we'll check out the PowerView module and do some basic domain enumeration. This module will simply get information like the hostname and the IP of the domain controller. We get a valid hit. And we see the hostname and the IP of the domain controller. And we'll check out another one, which will get the domain trusts. And Here we see the child domain that's part of the Night City Forest. Have a valid hit. You can also use the Modules tab to search for and execute modules against the agents. Here we'll just run a simple port scan against another known target, and then we'll make sure to select our agent we'd like to run it on. And I'll enter the target we'd like to scan. Here on another box with a running agent, we'll utilize a Windows persistence module. And in this example, we'll set a persistence mechanism to be a scheduled task. And we'll keep the default name of updater, which you should probably change for OPSEC reasons if you were on an engagement. Then we'll select the listener the beacon should call back to. So now seeing it's been set, we'll verify by running a scheduled tasks binary. Get task, which will run in the interact tab directly as a shell command. And we see it gets a valid hit. In this next example, we'll set up a redirector listener. This will basically task an existing agent to open a redirector port. This will listen on that defined redirector port for other agents' traffic with this new redirector listener set. Then it'll transfer and forwards all communications back out. And this is useful for pivoting into internal networks or altering traffic to blend in more with the baseline environment. If it sounds confusing, we'll just go through it step by step. So first we have an already established agent. This shows the network connections to our standard listener at port 4448. Now creating a new redirector listener, we'll need to set the listener name as the exact name of the existing agent, which we just pasted. We'll keep the default port of 80. And then setting the listener to where you want their redirected traffic to forward to. Keep it the same as the original agent in our case. Also adding a new or existing internal or interface IP, like an internal multi-homed interface, but in this example, we're just using the same interface in order to manipulate the traffic, sort of blend in. So now that it's started, we'll run netstat again to see if port 80 is listening. We also see that creating the new redirector listener actually tasked the existing agent to run a redirection script. Here we see the output, and we're listening on port 80. We can also see the listener connected back to 444.8. So next is our interpreter session on our new target. And we're going to upload a stager which has already been built to call back to this new redirector listener. So again, we'll directly run it. And we'll see we have a callback. Use details about our new box, and then we'll run netstat on this new box to check out some traffic. And as we can see, we're connected to our jump box at port 80. We do have good communications. And lastly, we go to our jump box, and we'll run netstat again to sort of showcase the traffic between the new target and the redirector. And we can see that connection on port 80 from the new target, along with 2 connections to that original listener of port 444.8. And that's it for this video. And this demo is presented within one of our domains in the TheSprawl range at slayerlabs.com. It contains 41 VMs, 4 domains, multiple subdomains, rated intermediate to difficult. So if you'd like to get hands-on experience on keyboard working with C2 frameworks, get more info at slayerlabs.com and request access.